Hello everyone. So the topic of discussion today is how to survive and thrive in the modern attention economy. So imagine if every app, every website and every news headline was designed to steal your attention bit by bit. Actually, you don't have to imagine that. That's the reality of a modern world where like every app, every website and every news headlines are trying to grab your attention bit by bit, right? So it's leaving us overwhelmed, anxious and unfocused. We know that, but what if there is a way to navigate this landscape without losing your mind? What if you could reclaim your focus and boost your productivity by, let's say, 200 or 500%, mainly by 5x, right? And actually enjoy the technology you use. Stick around because today we are diving deep into the attention economy and what it is, how it's manipulating you, and most importantly, the science backed strategies that will empower you to thrive, not just survive. So yeah, let's start with something we all have experienced: the constant pings, the buzzes, the alerts. If you feel overwhelmed by a notification, you're not alone. The numbers prove it. We'll talk about some numbers. The average US smartphone users receive roughly 46 to 84 push notifications daily. So that's like 84 notifications daily people's receiving on an average. That's basically an interruptions roughly every 10 to 15 minutes during the waking hours. Till you are awake, you are receiving interruptions every 10 to 15 minutes. But here's what's truly alarming: 70% of baby boomers, 40% of millennials in the office settings reports experiencing anxiety directly tied to notifications. For Gen Z, that jumps to 90%. So 90% of the Gen Z, 70% of baby boomers, and 40% of millennials say that they are feeling overwhelmed because of notifications and acting on it in the office environment. So, what exactly is the attention economy? Think of it this way: platform and apps aren't just designed to be useful, they are engineered to capture and hold your attention. Your attention has become a commodity that can be bought and sold. Companies like Google, Facebook, which is Meta, they are just selling this consumer attention, they are grabbing our attention and they are selling to companies like advertiser, right? The global digital advertisement revenue hit 567 billion in 2022 and is expected to exceed 700 billion by 2025. That report is from 2022 where it was at 567 billion dollar of revenue and it was expected to be 700 billion by 2025. We can check latest data if we have any, but that's the economy of the attention. Like digital advertising revenues are roughly 700 billion, we can assume, by 2025. Social media advertisements alone contribute roughly 35% of this figure. So out of 700 billion that is expected by 2025, 35% is being contributed by social media itself. That's how valuable your attention is, right? And we are anyway, like, we are spending time. That's the reason this data, these facts are coming through. We are part of that data point. Albert Simon, a Nobel Prize winning economist, predicted this back in 1960s. He noted a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. Basically, the more information we create over the internet, the more poverty of attention. People will people's attention would reduce because they have lot of things to explore and grasp, right? Social media platforms offer free services but generate a revenue by selling targeted digital advertisement. Do you ever wonder how companies like Google or Meta, which is Facebook, are generating revenue when they are not taking a penny from you? That's basically they are offering free services to you but selling our attention figures. Like they have data how much time each person is spending and how they are spending, so we are a data point for them which they are selling to make sure that advertisers, like, companies are able to advertise based on the data point, and then we indirectly buy things which we don't want to buy. So that's how economy works. The more time you spend on the platform, the more ad impressions they can sell. They can sell to companies saying that, oh wow, this person, like, we have more data, we have more attention of customers on our platform, so they can sell. So If you see, like if you have used Zepto, Blinkit, or any platform, everybody is trying to grasp your attention. You can open Facebook, you open Google, there you get lot of advertisement. You open Blinkit, place order. So on the like when you have order placed, there you, that real estate you are always watching, right? Where is my order? They have utilized that and they are putting advertisement there. Similarly, the platforms like Book My Show and other platforms, wherever you provide your attention, there is a place where advertiser can advertise their content. So that's the economy of it. So the more time we spend, the more we do. The real cost, every time you check that notification, you're not just losing those few seconds. We assume that we are spending a few seconds and we are losing that, but actually data are really, the facts are really staggering, and we should look into those facts to understand this better. Study shows that only 9% of the notifications actually requires immediate attention. So out of 100 notifications that we act on, only 9% actually requires immediate attention, and all of them, other 91%, they are just pulling you away from what truly matters. It's some advertisement or something, some attention grabbing. The mental health implications are profound. Workers report elevated stress levels and burnout as common outcomes of digital overload. The average office worker is interrupted approximately every 11 minutes, which we discussed earlier. Every 10 to 15 minutes you are being interrupted. So average office worker, as per data, is being interrupted every 11 minutes, and they require around 25 minutes to regain that focus. So every 11 minutes you are being pinged with some notification, and once you enter into that notification, we are not counting how much time you spend there, but to regain your focus back you require 25 minutes. So every time you check some notification, make sure that you remember that once you click on that notification, you are going to spend next 25, roughly next 25 minutes of your time. It's not always that you're always going to spend that much time. Basically that much time is required by your mind, your brain, to regain the control, and the time that you spend for that notification, that is not counted. That's a varying number, and that's a different story. So okay, we can say notifications are the problem, but surely we can just, if notifications are a problem, we can just multitask our way through them, right? Wrong. So let me debunk that most persistent productivity myth of our time, the multitasking myth. Wake Forest University psychologist Professor Anthony Sally puts it bluntly, the the biggest misconception is that we are actually doing two things at once. That's not how our brain works. What's happening is our brains are rapidly switching between tasks. Take example, like you are driving a car and you are receiving a call. Right now I got a call, right? I am recording this video and I got a call. So I cannot do both the things together. I need to act and decide on acting one. Similarly, like when you are driving a car, you can pick a call and you can continue to talk, and you can assume that you are able to drive and you can able to take a call, but it's not how your mind works. So that's what Wake Forest University psychology professor Anthony Sally puts it, that we are doing multitasking, but it's not what happens. When it comes to focusing on tasks, we are a serial processor, not parallel processors. Every time you switch attention, think of it like erasing information as an internal whiteboard in your memory and writing new information for the current task. It's like RAM, your RAM. Like you are erasing the RAM, putting the new set of information, and then you are starting to act accordingly. Here, let's talk about context switching cost. Here's the number that should terrify every knowledge worker, everyone who thinks that they are able to context switch very efficiently. A study from University of California, Irvine, found that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds. How much? 23 minutes and 15 seconds to return to your original task after an interruption, which we earlier talked about as well. It's roughly 23 minutes it takes to regain your control, regain your focus. Let's do the math. If you're interrupted just 3 times a day, as you are spending like 23 minutes to regain the focus. If even if you are interrupted thrice a day and you lost over an hour of your productivity, we are taking 20 minutes, not even 23, so you lose 1 hour of focus when you act on three notifications. And assume for the people who are opening let's say 84 notifications or more than 50 notification, and do the math, every time just multiply by 20, maybe like if you are not multiplying by 23, right? So that's too much of a time. That's not even counting the actual time spent on the interruptions, right? That's just the recovery time that we are talking about. The performance penalty, the cost of multitasking are staggering. 40% reduction in productivity compared to single tasking. If you would have single task, you would have been better, but with multitask you are reducing your productivity by 40% altogether. Error rates double. When you are having frequent interruptions, you lose, like your mind may not be able to understand or put down all the edge cases that it has in back of the mind, right? Daily productivity drops just to 2.8 hours. Like the number says that multitasking your daily productivity is just roughly 3 hours if you are multitasking and you are just opening the interruptions. So you have a whole day, but roughly you are just able to focus for roughly 3 hours in a day. Workers switch task every 6 minutes on average. That's the data. As a worker of, they are switching every 6 minutes on an average. Context switching costs the global economy an estimated 450 billion annually. So that's the 700 billion economy, estimated economy. That's the projected, that much they can earn from the digital revenue or advertisement. But at the same time, estimated loss is around 40 450 billion annually. For individual companies, this translates to millions in lost productivity. That's a global $450 billion annually lost, right? Because workers are switching between the tasks and trying to do multitask. For individual companies, they are losing millions. So that way companies should enforce that people don't do multitask, right? That's up to the companies. We cannot comment on that. Let's talk about the neuroscience. When you multitask, your brain flirts with the information, but here's the problem: our working memory can only hold between 3 and 7 pieces of information at a time. So when you are trying to remember a lot of things, your mind, your working memory, which like let's call it a RAM, which you need to quickly work with, it can only hold 3 to 7 informations. If you are holding more information than that, then you are losing on to those. Research from Stanford University found that heavy multitaskers were actually worse at filtering out irrelevant informations. If you are a heavy multitasker, you won't be able to figure out what is priority, what is not, what is relevant, what is not. Right? Keeping information organized in their heads and switching from one task to another. They were terrible at all the things that multitasking supposedly helps with. And then there's the attention residue. Researchers Sophie Lero discovered that when you switch tasks, parts of your attention remains on a previous task. So if you check your email mid-project, thoughts about those email lingers, interfering with your current work. So that's about attention residue, right? You have some attention of the past project that's hindering you. So we have been talking about the problem, we have covered the data, like what's the fact, so that we understand the cost of it. It's a 700 billions dollar of industry, whereas we are losing around 450 billion dollar annually. And roughly we are taking 23 minutes to regain the focus, and every 10 to 15 minutes we are being interrupted in a day, right? So that were the data, those were about the problem statement. But what's the solution? So let's talk about reclaiming your focus zone, right? So how do you reclaim your focus in the world designed to steal it, right? Georgetown computer science professor Cal Newport coined the term deep work. It was the term coined by Cal Newport who coined it, right? Professional activities performed in a state of distraction free concentration that push your cognitive capability to their limit. So this concept has come from a professor who basically researched about professional like athletes and other players. Research shows that individuals in flow state, if you go into flow state, there is a book on deep work and flow on flow. So as per the data, research shows that individual in flow state performs 200 to 500 times better than their baseline. So if you just go into a flow state and you just work on the task, you perform better, I mean, like, as per the number, it's 200 to 500%, like 5x better than the average. Bill Gates famously takes think weeks where he completely isolates himself to read and think. No email, no phone call, no internet. That's how he's trying to cope up with this new environment, right? That's Bill Gates' way of handling it. So you don't need to retreat to a cabin for a weeks, but you need to create a condition for deep work, right? You need to make sure that you are able to fall into the deep work and you are getting outcome out of it. So to achieve that, there are different strategies. One of the first strategy is notification batching. One thing you can do is, rather than acting on each, let's say roughly we were talking about 50 to 84 notifications in a day. So if you just let's take 84, if you uh, click on 84 notifications, all of them, you may lose your whole day and you may not be able to focus on any of this, right? First strategy that we can try to put is batching the notification, right? You can batch the notification. Let's say you decide to check the notification 3 times a day. So one failed experiment with 247 participants found that reducing notification caused interruptions, improved performance, and reduced strain. Here's how. On iPhone settings, go to notification, schedule summary. If you are using iPhone, you can choose 2 3 delivery times of your notifications. On Android, settings, scheduled, go to settings, and there would be scheduled digest. You can manage from there, or and you can turn off all the non-essential notifications permanently. That would be well approached. If you know you don't need to act for a particular, let's say you installed some app and you now know that you are not interested and you don't need that, and still it's interrupting you, you can just turn off the notifications, like if you don't want to uninstall the application. That way you are saving your lot of attention span. So that's the first approach. 3 times a day you can put a notification batching strategy. Second strategy that you can utilize is technology tools. Use technology to fight not technology. Website blockers, focus modes are game changers. So top tools are there like Freedom, Rescue Time, Focus Me, Cold Turkey. Freedom helps you to block websites. Rescue Time helps you with automatic time tracking with focus sessions. Focus Me, strict blocker with force mode that nearly impossible to bypass. And Cold Turkey, one time purchase, locks focus time so you can't cheat. Right? I remember I was using a Realme phone which had this feature inbuilt where you can just put a focus time in the app in the mobile, and it won't allow you to access the any application other than the one that you whitelist. And if you want to do it, you would have to just restart the application, like app, basically mobile itself, and you are only allowed to do it based on what you configure, 2 times in a month or 1 time in a month, what you decide. So that particular feature was already built in Realme phone, which I have used earlier, so I know for sure it works. But otherwise, like, you have lot of tools. You can use Freedom, Rescue Time, Focus Me, or Cold Turkey. The key is using focus mode or do not disturb strategically. Research from Stanford's digital distraction lab found that merely seeing or hearing a notification without actually checking it reduces performance on cognitive task by up to 20%. So you may lose 20% of your performance if you just see the notification and you don't act. Rather, just turn it off or uninstall the application if you don't need it. That's the best way. Otherwise, you can just put a blocker for a particular session you are working on. Third strategy can be physical and temporal focus zone. Create both physical and temporal boundaries for focus work. Designate a specific workspace for a deep work only. So if you define, like, it's a proven approach. So there are a lot of books on habits forming, where environment helps a lot in habit forming. So if you put a specific workplace for a deep work, it works. Like, you can just stick to your deep work always. Use acoustic planning to reduce noise. Put some headphone or something, and put some sound, constant sound, so that you can reduce the noise. Optimize lighting. Natural light is ideal, but optimize the light. It should not strain you or force you, so that, like, if you just force you to do on some act on something, your mind can try to avoid it, right? Include biophilic elements like plants. Put plants so that you get environment. Ergonomic furniture to support long focus session. So these are, like, you can create just a physical zones, and these are some helpful tips for that. Another is temporal zones, where you time block, dedicate specific hour to similar task. Pomodoro technique, which is also a very good technique, where you split time in 25 minutes of focus area, 5 minutes of break, and after every 3 pomodoro you can just take 15 minutes of a break. Otherwise, like, you are just taking 5 minutes of break between the 25 minutes focus area. Why 25 minutes? It's a proven research. There is a MIT video on this as well. Your mind can only focus on roughly 30 minutes, and after that it loses focus. So even in MIT, the uh, like, lectures are not continuous. They just switch the topics so that your mind can focus. Otherwise, like, if you continue to talk continuously and listen for more than 30 minutes, your mind won't be able to do that. Deep work session, 60 to 90 minutes uninterrupted blocks you can put to have 1 to 1.5 hours of deep work. Schedule your most challenging work during your peak hours first. So if you feel like you can work most in the morning, put the most challenging work. So there is a book as well, and there is a lot of personal help self-help books on this. Eat the frog or eat the elephant first. Eat the elephant first, I guess that's the trick. So basically, you tackle the most challenging piece first, so that whole day feels easier to you. uh, Fourth is the power of ritual. Ritual signals to your brain that it's time to focus. Unlike habit performed mindlessly, rituals are performed with intention. Simple rituals that work: making a specific cup of tea before work session, lighting a candle when you start a deep work, playing a same focus playlist, opening your planner, reviewing your goals, even making your bed signals a discipline and order. So it's a proven approach. You can read more about habit. So there is a book, and there is a whole thought process around it. There is a cue, then there is uh, trigger, and then there is a action, and then there is a reward. So you can put some trigger points always, like every day, like when you wake up, then you brush. So brush is a trigger point for wake up, and then you can attach some other. So habits works very well when they are attached with some other habits. So if they have a cue, they have a trigger point basically to switch between another. So making a cup of tea will always remind. So every time you make a cup of tea, you are for sure, your mind can prepare itself that it needs to go for a deep work, right? So those are the small things. The rituals activates your prefrontal cortex, the brain command center for focus and decision making. By anchoring this in your daily routine, you are not just improving productivity, you are rewiring your brain for focus. The art of intentional consumption. Let's talk about so these were the techniques. You are just trying to navigate between this and trying to solve this, right? But what if you want to work on the intentional consumption? Let's talk about what happens when you do use social media and digital content The question isn't whether to use, it's how to use it intentionally. Ever wonder why you can't stop scrolling? It's called dopamine scrolling, a distinct behavioral pattern where you habitually scroll through feeds in pursuit of novel content. So it's like on the similar line, there have been an experiment where there was a rat put into the cage, and every time he was there was some ring, and he was given a food, and then he got basically attached to this habit. So then when a ring happened and there was no food, that rabbit became anxious, and he was just trying to wait, like he was trying to anticipate that there will be a food. So this experiment has shaped a lot of other technology companies. So that same thing. So sometimes we have found content somewhere, so we feel that if we keep scrolling we would found some profound novel content. Similarly, like we have found some like out of 100, as we discussed, roughly 9 to 10 are the only important notification. So we feel, what if there could be one important out there, right? So we just keep scrolling on the pursuit of novel content. Over a billion people spent an average of 3 hours scrolling through social media in 2020. That's the report. In 2020, scrolling was 3 hours scrolling. This number have must have improved, like increased, given these habits are just getting stretched, they are not getting shrinked, with some countries reporting average exceeding 4 hours daily. Social media platforms employ sophisticated algorithms that features specifically designed to keep you hooked. Infinite scrolling is the one thing, no natural stopping point. Pull to refresh like a slot machine lever. You pull and you expect some novel content to appear. Variable reward, you don't know, like cashback coupons, right? You just open it and you somehow get something which is rewarding. So in the hope of opening finding something rewarding, you always open the cashback coupon, and out of 100, 90% of it may not have anything, right? Autoplay, content keeps coming without effort. So like TikTok and YouTube reels, where TikTok basically where you don't have to act and it autoplays. So Stanford psychiatrist Anna Lemke explains social media can cause the release of large amount of dopamine into our brains, reward pathway all at once, just like a heroin or a meth or a alcohol. So curating your feed is a one thing. You can curate your feed. So even if you continue to use your social media, you like just to make sure that you are consuming the right thing. Strategy one: conduct a social media audit. Take 10 minutes to audit every account you follow. Does this consistently make you feel good or bad? Does this add a value to my life? Would I pay $1 for this notification? Ask these questions and follow or unfollow based on that to a social media channels, right? Unfollow the noise, be ruthless, unfollow or mute accounts that trigger comparisons or envy or consistently post negative content or don't align with your values or goals or are primarily promotional noise. Same thing, like you need to take control of it. Strategy 3 is follow value. Instead, actively seek educational content to your feed, inspirational stories or role model, diverse perspective that expands your worldview, accounts that promote learning and growth, right? So these are the some way. Next is digital detoxes, uh, is like which actually works. Let's talk about the power of stepping back entirely. So we talked about how you can push back, how you can take control. What if you just push yourself back, which is a digital detox? So a groundbreaking 2-week study from Georgetown University revealed shocking benefits of digital detox. Participants halved their screen time to about 2.5 hours daily when they detoxed for 2 weeks. Anxiety and depression significantly decreased comparable to cognitive behavioral therapy effects. Sleep increased by 20 minutes per night on average. Attention span improved by equivalent of reversing 10 years of age related decline. So if you just take 2 weeks of basically detox, you are reversing 10 years of age related decline. Even more remarkable, this benefit increased Each day the detox continues, creating a positive feedback loop. So like if you, even if you don't want to push yourself harder, just do it for 2 weeks if you want to. Stanford Dr. Lemke recommends a mono month log dopamine fast from your most addictive platform. So if you can just leave the application for a month, and I've tried this, I've not gone through his content, but I have tried this. So if you just focus your attention from one thing to another, like I was using WhatsApp earlier, I was always acting on each of the statuses, then I shifted away to other platform. When I came back, so I was little mindful about WhatsApp, then I was checking statuses to see if I want to check, and then check. Similarly, so if you just context switch between social media for a month, it works as well. If you just leave a particular or ignore a particular social media for a month, or rather than ignoring, just replace it with the new social media, that helps, because you are still involved, so you don't feel a burden of anything, and you can easily play around with that. Mindful consumption strategies: when you do use social media, schedule a specific time, don't check randomly throughout the day, set time limits, practice single tasking, turn off non-essential notifications. We have already talked about this, so time to act on this. So last like other thing that we can talk about is thriving in the digital age. So when, where does this leaves us? When do we actually thrive in the attention economy without becoming hermits? The first step is awareness. Now that you understand how platform manipulate your attention, you can recognize when it's happening. You are no longer fighting an invisible enemy. 70% of employees reports that their employers don't prioritize work life balance, but you can prioritize your attention balance. Superpower number two. Superpower number one is awareness. If you just become aware of things. Second is boundaries. Research consistently shows that employees who set clear boundaries between work and personal responsibilities experience greater happiness and productivity. Create and maintain boundaries. Log off on a set time each day. Keep work apps personal devices when possible. Use separate account for work and personal use. Communicate your boundaries to colleague and family. Third superpower is intentionality. Every time you pick up your phone and open a browser, ask, is this intentional or am I just reacting? Study shows that workers who practice intentional technology use reported a 50% increase in productivity. That's not from working more hours, that's from working with more focus. You just need to improve your focus rather than extending the hours, right? The compounding effect. Here's what's exciting: these strategies compound over time. When you batch your notification, use website blocker during deep work, curate your feed mindfully, take regular digital detoxes, establish focus rituals. You are not just improving today's productivity, you are rewiring your brain's overall relationship with the technology. I want you to commit to one small change. So I can like revisit all of this if that helps you. Like we talked about how this economy works. You are getting bombarded with 40 to 46 to 84 push notifications daily, wherein you are basically bombarded every 10 to 15 minutes, and 90% 90 like Gen Zs are spending 90% of the anxiety, reporting anxiety in the office hours, 70% from the baby boomers and 40% from the millennials. And 567 billions was the economy of the digital advertisement in 2022, and it's 700 billion expected roughly by 2025. And that's and basically only 9% of the notification that we actually act does actually require our immediate attention. Other 91% is just a waste that we act, and we assume that multitasking is a thing, but multitasking does not work. Every time you act on a single notification, it takes 23 minutes and 50 seconds of your day. So even if you take if you act on a three notifications, you're losing 1 hours of your day basically. And roughly as per data, we are only able to focus around 3 hours in a day, and we with multitasking we are reducing our 40% productivity, and loss global loss of this attention span is roughly 450 billion. And one important piece is our mind can only process 3 to 7 pieces of information. More than that, if we put at a time, it loses the context, right? Another thing that we talked about how we can reclaim our focus. That's about a deep work. There's a book and there's a TED talk and other things that you can follow. Strategies we talked about: you can batch the notification, check 3 times in a day roughly. Use technology, you can block using technology or time track with technology, or you can use physical or temporal focus zones, so that you are using you are being intentional about it. Or you can just put a ritual so that your habit is followed by some another habit, so that you are able to work. Other thing that we talked about is intentional consumption. If you could intentionally consume, wherein we discussed like how infinite scrolling, pull to refresh, variable rewards, autopay are uh, fetching our attention. We can do conduct a social media audit and follow the noise, follow the value. And another thing that we can do is we can digital detox. One thing is we just push that try to basically defense it, act defensively. Other is we just unfollow and do those things. And other thing is like we detach ourselves for 2 week, and we see 10 years of age related decline can be reversed. So in overall and other thing that we talk about is like how we can thrive in digital age: awareness, boundaries, intentionality, compounding effect works. If we batch our notifications, use websites blockers, or we mindfully curate our feed, take regular detox, and establish focus ritual. So I want you to commit to one small thing this week, just one out of this, because research shows that even starting a small and building consistently creating lasting habits. Which will you choose? Would you batch notification 2 3 times daily? Would you install a website blocker? Would you unfollow 10 accounts that don't serve you? Or would you take a weekend detox, digital detox? Or would you create a focus ritual? The attention economy isn't going anywhere. If anything, it's going to become more sophisticated, more personalized, more addictive. Here's the truth: you have the power. The attention is your most valuable asset in this modern economy. Protecting it isn't just about productivity, it's about reclaiming your life, your relationship, and your mental peace. I want to hear from you in the comments. What's your biggest attention challenge? What strategies have you tried? What tools and rituals have you worked for you? If you found this valuable, subscribe and hit the bell, but intentionally. Don't let me become another notification stealing your focus. Come back when you are ready to learn more about thriving in the digital age. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate technology, it's to use it as a tool, not become its tool. You weren't born to be a dopamine seeking algorithm, you were born to focus, create, and thrive. Take back your attention, take back your life. See you in the next video. Thank you.